Well, it's November the 19th. I had planned to do a final walkabout with you guys on the 15th, but I was sick. My truck is giving me some troubles, but after humming and hawing and looking things over, I think I can bring her back to mint condition. I just need to put her high on the priority list. We'll go around as we usually do. Grapevine's lost all its leaves. And, no, I didn't get all the grapes. So now they've been through a few frosts, eh? Some of them are rotten down there, but these that aren't rotten, they are very sweet. I'm hoping that the ones that I've got in the freezer have sweetened up like these. There were still several bunches that I didn't see when all the leaves were there. I've got the Russian mulberry moved away from here. I have them planted and I've recorded it. I'm thinking about making a video of that. There's the vines that have lost all their leaves. You know, like I said, it's November the 19th. We've had quite a few nights of frost. But this area here, it is still getting growing temperature for cool season crops. If I had lettuce or radish or something here, they'd still be growing. Once again, I have to show you. Until you got heavy frost, you've got some of the vine out here, it's kind of dying. But there's the California poppy, still growing. And if we get a warm day, it'll put on another flower. Right until this thing is completely dead, it'll keep flowering. Ooh, here's a nice little pod. I haven't showed you these pods yet. Oh, it's wet because of the wet weather, so it's not going to break. If this was a dry day and I'd done that, that would snap and the seeds would go all over. I like the seed head of a Liatris. I leave them there. I don't know if the birds will come and get them or what, but they do look nice and they'll stay there. Let's go here. You see the seeds? You know, maybe I should take some of them seeds and try to grow them. I have a pea. Oops. I have a pea that's still putting on flowers. This is one of the seed heads for the onions that's growing out by the front fence. Now I can take this and do that and see if any onions will grow up next year. Once again, the California poppy still alive. I had a rose on this rose bush. Here, it was a nice rose just a couple of days ago. I took a picture, I'll put it up. And I had buds. But then we got some more cold temperatures and the rose bush lost the rest of its leaves. Oh yeah, I got gate removed. It was really just in my way. If I need something to close off the driveway, I can just string chain between the two fence posts now. And my uncle needed a gate for something, so I said, hey, come take it. So, no more gate in the way. The lovage is not here because I cut that right down to ground level. It grows up from the roots every year. And so you can cut it down in late fall and you won't hurt it. To St. John's Wort. I expect them to get very big next year actually. This is the concrete from where that gate was put in. was actually quite easy to break it and get the pipe out. So I'm going to use this concrete now for the pond. Swiss chard is still alive and healthy. None of the seeds matured though, so I can't collect seeds. And here's something else to show you. Didn't grow right, but it still has little heads. That's broccoli. Yeah, broccoli. And now, look at this. It's radish. I'm going to show you another one in a little bit, so I'll just leave that as it is. I said this last year too, one of the last trees to lose its leaves. That's the one, the blueberry bushes there. So the Shedwar's garden, he's got a few leaves left on him as well. And then there's this apple tree that I cut down because it never did produce anything. And this is a bunch growing up from the roots. And it still has leaves. Don't know if I should just let that, like, play with it a bit, thin those branches out and whatnot to see if it'll ever produce an apple tree. It's not technically in the way there right now. And here's another thing of all the tedious work I've done, and I picked a lot of currants off of this bush. They're sweet now too, after being frozen 3 or 4 times. But there's almost enough left on the bush to eat, to make a bottle of jam. The birds will probably get them over the winter. So we can ignore the tall green things here. That's stinging nettles actually, but the red mulberry made it through, and you can see that these sticks here now, they look really healthy. So I'm expecting all of the mulberry trees to come back. And you see this? Right down to the ground level. This is typical of mulberry. They will put out branches down low and then go up. They're not really a tidy tree. They can get to be quite messy with these branches, a lot of branches going either way. So there, are they a tree? Are they a shrub? They're basically called a tree because they grow 30 feet tall, but kind of in between a tree and a shrub. So what you would do if you're growing mulberries in your yard, you would trim off these lower ones once the tree gets higher now, but you would trim off them up till you can just walk in under them and let the big bush be up on top of the single stalk. These are the black locusts, and they look healthy as well. So there's quite a few, not all of them, but there's a few here that should come back in the fall, in the spring. And I don't know about honey locust though. I have some more honey locust seed, I think, and of course over the winter I will stratify the honey locust so that I can start them early spring again. So this is a wisteria, if my memory serves me correctly. This is all the deadheads where the where the flowers were. You can see how many flowers comes out on this. That'll fall off over the winter, or the birds pecks it or whatever. But it still has leaves on it. gets quite cold before this one loses its leaves as well. The parsley that is in the shed wars garden had pretty much died. Now this is the same variety though, because remember I had extra and I just planted them out here, and they're growing. So there's a difference in temperature between here and the shed wars garden, which is only 50 feet down the way. Seaberry doesn't lose its leaves very easy, does it? It's almost fully leaved out. This is a female. You see that little bud there? Let me put my hand right here. So you see how it's just two little bracts, almost looking like a camel's hoof. So that's a female. A male will have a bunch of balls looking like grape seed. So I was at the nursery a couple of days ago, and I went in once again and I told her, I said, I've got a female seaberry, I need a male. So she wrote it down, and if they get them in, I will get a pair from them, a male and a female. And I'll remove this one because this tree is still small. That's a cherry plum. But I have another cherry plum just over right there. I'll remove that one. I'll put a female there. And then halfway in between, I'll put the male. Now here's what's nice. I'm glad I moved the asparagus up here. It's doing really well. I picked so many seeds. I think I've got over 1,000 seeds of this is sugar beets, and these are getting dry, so I think I will come out and pick what's obviously dry now after I do this video. But look down below. I was out for a walk yesterday. See a walkabout? A radish, and a nice one too. Now, I didn't look all the way through. I was all excited to look at that, but I decided to leave it. That one started to bulb up. Look over there. We've got two more. So now, I think I'm learning something new here. If I plant them when I plant out the onions, I might get the radish to bulb up. It might be just that it was too dry and warm when I planted them. In August, same thing. But, of course, this is November, so if I plant them also first week of September, I'm thinking that I might be able to get radish here. So, next year we'll find out if that will work. I've got 2 compost bins almost full here now. How much is in here? There's not very much in here because I put mostly grass clippings in here, eh? And when it decomposes, it goes down pretty far. So I did fill them up 3 times, but when the grass clippings, like I say, when they're decomposed, it takes an awful lot of grass clippings to make any amount of compost. I didn't know how to harvest these. I was thinking that I had to dig up the roots, and that's what I could use. But now lately I found out that no, you can make a tea of both the flowers and the leaves, flowers being more potent, of course, and it would have similar health benefits to the roots. So next year I'm going to be harvesting the flowers before they fade. This St. John's wort will be larger again next year. This thing grows like crazy. Yeah, I can come out here in February, dig this thing up, and it'll be sitting there looking just like it is there now. I never paid attention to the lavender in February, so I don't know. You can't cut these back, apparently. This is French tarragon, and I thought it came up from the roots, but I cut it back this year, and then I just get this little plant. So I guess I was wrong. You have to actually let this plant stay year over year with vegetation above ground. Got a beautiful little sage plant there now. They're supposed to survive, so if that survives, this one you don't cut back. You just harvest it as you need it. And just like the thyme and oregano, you leave it there as a bush. So once again, I took back the lovage and I brought it in and dried it. I found the same thing was with catnip. You're not supposed to cut it back. So okay, I won't cut it back this year. And next year I'll get me a big plant again. Got a lot of parsley growing here, don't I? 704 pounds I took from that tree. Can you see the apples there on the ground? And so there's the fence line. You go straight up from the fence line. I didn't pick anything that was over there hanging over my neighbor's yard. He took care of all those apples. And there's like a third of the tree hanging over in his yard. So, what, 1,100, 1,200 pounds of apples that tree produced? This is our experimenting to see how we can shape a kale year over year. Looks like I'm going to have to cut them right down. Whether I'll do it in the next few days or wait till spring, I don't know. Our other kale there, he's looking nice. Thing about kale, it's I don't know if they ever go bad when they're frozen out here. You can come out in the winter and pick them. You have to get them growing. So if you had a whole bunch of kale already grown, when the growing season stops, then you'd have a long time picking fresh kale as the winter grew on, and basically until it got covered in snow. Broccoli. So these leaves are edible. So this is another thing that if you add left there, you'd be getting fresh. You can come out and pick fresh greens late into the winter. And I have some florets here that I can harvest. These are nice. See, they're nice and firm, so they're good. I almost got heads. I'll get the hang of it and figure out what I need. See, the two things I need, of course, is spread it out so that the insects, to reduce the number of insects, you're not actually reducing the number of insects per se. What you need to do is put them out so that the birds and other predators can get at the insects. When they're covered up and things, then they're hidden and they can munch away. Well, yeah, the lacinato kale over in the Shed Wars garden didn't do as well as it did here, and I think I said that before. But as the weather's getting cooler, I didn't like it earlier because the leaves, this one is flatter as well, it grew out earlier. The leaves were flat and I like them really rough, and as the weather cooled down, you see the leaves started to come out quite rough. So this is nice. If you could get that growing, the trouble is you can't really get it growing a lot, because down here what happens is that they get shaded out by the material above, and then they just fade and drop off. So this is a lovely looking thing, eh? Those leaves down below, I picked them off and gave them to the hens. Once again, because I didn't record it, I don't know what it is, but as far as I know, it's a broccoli of some sort. A cauliflower of some sort, I mean. But those leaves, they're thick and firm. Another green that I can harvest and take in and eat just like cabbage leaves. So I could still be harvesting from my garden here on November the 19th, 2021. Here's another hardy thing. That's mustard greens. Just the same as we never had a frost. I mean, that one over there, look, it's putting on flowers. Anybody like mustard greens? They grow in awful cold weather. As far as plants go, you know what I mean. So as I was walking around yesterday, I was looking at this one. It's starting to fade. He also got eat by something. That looks like a bird got added up there. Oh, so I had two roosters, eh? One of them was more dominant, and I went in to clean out the pen. And the dominant rooster made the bolt for it. And then when I tried to get out and circle around him to get him to go back in, he took off up over the hill, and he never come back since. I left the main door open for him to go in at night and everything. No, sir. Several days later, I seen him over in the neighbors. He was running around, so he was out there for like at least a week. I don't know if another animal got him yet or no. I have some more mustard seed there that I can harvest, and once again, perfectly healthy mustard greens growing. I didn't get it all finished, but most of the beds I've got covered in some sort of plant material. These strawberries, see, we're having warm nights is part of the issue, and up until recently they still had, oh, there's one flower over here. You see that? I got a strawberry flower. The strawberries are coming out, but they're not ripening up. They might get as far, see, and this one's rotting. He didn't go all the way. So there's that. And also there's a new leaf coming right there, see that? That's what happens with these. They'll keep growing. As long as they've got growing temperature, they'll grow. And then if they get a few degrees above growing temperature, they'll put on flowers. There's another flower bud. Now, don't ask me how that got there. I can't smell it, but it looks for all the world like a tomato plant. Doesn't seem to be any smell to it. I kind of hope I still get the health and inspiration at the same time to take up some of these strawberries that grew out in the runners and transplant them over in this bed, so that next year I have 2 beds of strawberries. I bought some Brussels sprout seeds, so next year I'll have Brussels sprouts plants. But this is the one that it was doing so healthy, so I decided to leave it there and see what it does. Kind of interesting. You got a little bunch of what looks like to be 3 or 4 Brussels sprouts right together there. So that's okay. We'll see what happens with this as time goes. Gardening is an experiment. Gets dark early now. It's getting dull out. But at any rate, this is how she's looking in the latter half of November. So if you like that, hit that thumbs up. And if you want to follow along, of course, you got to subscribe. So you do that, and I'll see you in the next video.